Yeah, so originally I think the defense also had to happen in like a public square. So the idea was that you really needed to stand there and defend your science against like anybody who would just wanted to come and like shout at you. So that's why you had these people standing next to you as backup.
I think that sounds more fun though.
Welcome everybody to the 35th episode of the Struggling Scientist podcast. This is a podcast by scientists, for scientists, anybody science adjacent, and perhaps even hobbyists. My name is Susanna and I'm here with my co-host Sharon.
Hi.
Today we have a returning guest, but she is a doctor now. So welcome Dr. Maria Clemente. We're gonna talk about how she defended her PhD in the Netherlands and what that is like in the Netherlands and how she thinks about it, I guess. So let's start. Welcome, Dr. Maria. Has that gotten old yet?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here again with you guys. And Dr. Maria, it's weird to hear, I think.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So I'm very, very happy to be here again, but now this time Dr. Clemente, that can go there in the title, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was passed and I'm very happy about it.
So good. So we're here today to talk about how you defended your thesis and received your PhD diploma in the Netherlands. And we know that there are quite a lot of differences between defenses in the Netherlands and in other countries. And we hope to, in the coming episodes, of course, highlight a lot of different countries and how PhD are defended there. So if anybody listening is interested in being a guest on our podcast and talking about what a PhD is like in another country, then definitely reach out to us because we're always looking for guests. So back to you, Maria. How are you feeling about being a doctor now? Was it all worth it?
So I get the question quite a lot, and I would like to say that I feel any different, but not really. I mean, I'm of course very happy, very relieved. But I was expecting like to have like a catharsis, right? Like when you reach the finish line after a race or something like that. But that was not quite the feeling. But I'm still very happy and proud, of course.
Oh, good.
So in the Netherlands, we need to publish a few papers in order to be allowed to defend. Can you tell us a bit more about that and like how many papers you needed and if there are any requirements, additional requirements expected of PhDs in order to be able to defend?
So I mean, I'm talking about the University of Amsterdam because I know that this also varies in the Netherlands per university a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started it at the University of Amsterdam, they required 3 already published research articles.
That's a lot.
Which I think it's crazy indeed.
Yeah.
But luckily for my time, they already reduced it to 2. So those you had to have passed the revision at least, so it didn't have to be accepted, but it had to be passed the revision. 2, I published articles, but the minimum requirement is to have 4 chapters with research that can be published. That's the idea.
Yeah,
I think.
which is so much.
It is. I mean, it's an extra pressure, right, on something that it's already difficult to do.
Yeah, definitely. But you survived and you got it. So so much congratulations, of course. And can you tell our listeners a little bit about what the defense itself actually looks like in the Netherlands? Because it may differ from what people in another country are used to.
Yeah, so for me it was also surprising because I worked in Spain and the UK, and there the defenses look very much different. But here in the Netherlands, I really like it, but I thought that it looks like a wedding or something. It looks like a religious ceremony. So it's very formal. It's also shorter because the whole ceremony lasts for about an hour. And it basically consists. So there is an audience. It's a public event, so anybody actually can go. But normally in the audience you have your family, friends, and people that work with you. And it starts with a layman talk, so where in 10 minutes I describe in simple terms what my thesis is about. And after that 10-minute presentation, then the opponent committee comes in together with my supervisor and co-promoters. They come in, and then the discussion starts. And there are questions and answers basically for 45 minutes. And then the beadle comes to stop the ceremony after 45 minutes sharp. And then after that, the committee goes away to deliberate. And then when they come back again, they give me the decision to know if I did or did not get the degree. Then my supervisor gave the speech, and then that was over, basically.
Yes, yes. So of course we were there. How many people are on the committee again? I'm not exactly sure. It's quite a lot,
So
right?
I think it varies. I think you can have, normally I had 5 people
Mm-hmm.
in the committee. But you officially, I think you have to choose 6 in Amsterdam University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's also very much already decided before your actual defense if you're going to make it, right? Because we have all these rules about what we need to have.
Yeah.
And I think that's also very different than in other countries where your PhD
It is
defense is actually really a
indeed.
sort of
Yeah.
test. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. It's very different because here, I mean, your thesis has already been approved and read by the committee.
Yes.
So there are no more changes, which is something different to the UK, for example, where you can have minor or major changes after your defense.
Yeah, and it often still takes quite a while. Here, after
Yeah,
a
exactly.
defense, you're really done, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, you are done before, but this is, your moment to
Yes.
shine.
Yes. So we know that there are quite a bit of paperwork involved with getting started with the whole PhD defense thing. Can you tell our listeners how far back you need to get started with everything before the actual date that you could defend?
Yeah, I think that depends on the person, of course, and how organized you are. I'm a little bit neurotic myself. But I actually started like 1 year before actually defending, also because my degree, so my master's and my bachelor's are not from a Dutch university. So then you need to do some paperwork to get an exemption. So, well, I mean, it's just bureaucracy, but they require you to show not only the diplomas, but also the official transcripts. And this has to be, like translated in the case of Spanish, etc. So yeah, like 1 year before. And for the rest of the paperwork, there is a lot. But luckily, you don't have to do everything yourself. So at least I had some help from the secretary that she actually helped me a lot.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that it's very different than what people in other countries are used to, but of course there are also very many similarities. Do you have any tips for PhDers preparing for their defense?
I when I was preparing, I was not a big fan of tips because most of the people were telling me things like "you'll do fine," which is not a tip. So I really had the feeling, and maybe some people that are preparing will understand that I needed to study a lot, right? Because I thought that I really needed to know absolutely everything that could come up in the discussion. So I was trying to find out what my knowledge was lacking. Like where should I be studying more? But I got a very useful tip from one person, and so he already defended his PhD, and he told me rely on what you know, and I thought that it was a really useful, at least for me, piece of advice, because he told me if you start studying things that you didn't know before, like you are not an expert on, and you start talking about these things in the defense, this can backfire really quickly because you are not an expert, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't really make sense. Everybody knows that you don't know everything, and they many times in the questions that the committee asks, at least here, they also don't know the answer. Like it's not, a closed answer. So I think that the rely on what you know will be the best piece of advice.
Oh, that's actually
And
a really good
also,
one.
yeah, I like, for example, we also had trial defense with the people from the department, and this was really useful as well.
Ah, yeah.
Yes.
What were the things that you noticed there that you tried to improve on later, or what did you practice afterwards?
Well, it's also because here in the Netherlands you have to do like you have to reply in a certain way. So you
Mm,
first have to address the opponent in a certain way.
very official.
Yeah, but also I got from my supervisor some tips of things to not say. Like for example, she told me you don't say I believe, but you say I think because it's a detail, but this was like some trick that she told me. So don't say I believe because scientists don't believe, they think.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, that's a funny one. Yes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the trial defense beforehand. What was your preparation like going into the defense date itself, in addition to like the trial defense? What did you do to prepare?
Well, I read my thesis, which sounds silly because you wrote the thing, right?
Mm.
So, but I read my thesis many times, and of course, started to think what questions would I ask myself. So I prepared this everything in like a notebook, and also in my thesis I did some notes, etc. Like to have it
Mm.
to have some backup information there with me in the defense.
Mm-hmm.
But more practical things, I thought I was not going to be able to sleep, but I slept very fine. I was exhausted, and on the day itself, I was quite stressed, but also a mixture of feelings.
Mm.
Excited, stressed.
Yes.
So, if I understood correctly, you did have that notebook with you as well to for some support.
Yes,
Mm.
and
Yes.
at the end, I didn't use it.
I often see entire theses also like with sticky notes and color coded of like
Yeah, I also did that. Yes.
yes. But looking back at everything, is there anything you would have done different on the day itself or the week leading up to the defense?
Probably not being that stressed will be
Mhm.
helpful because it was not necessary because like I said, I prepared many things and then I didn't use them. um, but I mean the stress. I mean it's in my nature as well. So I'm very anxious. So I knew this was going to happen, and I really like to be in control. But here you're not in control, right? You're just
Mhm.
expecting what questions you're going to get. There's no way to prepare for that.
No. Were your paranymphs any help with the stress?
I mean, they would say they were not because they don't actively, answer.
Uh-huh.
But to have them there, it was really an influence for me. So I think it really helped me to stay calm.
It was just the suits that they had a calming effect.
I also don't know if actually in other countries they have paranymphs. I think it's also something that it's characteristic from the Netherlands.
Yes. It makes it very much also look like a wedding when you have these people next to you that are basically your, what do you call them in English? Your
Fiance?
no, 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 no.
No. Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
one of them was in my
yes,
case, but
yes. No, 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 no. You're like you're not your
Best
bride,
man?
best man. Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Like your getuige, we call it in Dutch. But,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I probably don't know if everybody that is listening knows that the role of the paranames, but it's just so two people that you have by your side during the defense. And originally, I think that they were supposed to help you answer some
Yes.
questions,
Yeah, so originally
which
I think the defense also had to happen in like a public square where anybody who was there could ask questions. That's also why you have an audience. So the idea was that you really needed to stand there and defend your science against like anybody who would just wanted to come and like shout at you. So that's why you had these people standing next to you as backup.
I
And those
think
were
that
your
sounds
parents.
more fun though.
Yes, let's go just stand on a square in Amsterdam and like shout about your science to people, right? That sounds fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So now we obviously attended your PhD defense in the Netherlands, which had an audience that was present, and we thought you did great. We were just there in the audience, and some of us were also your paranymphs. So maybe if we could just discuss about some details about the day itself. So on the day itself, I remember you also got a quick pep talk from the doorman there. First off, did you know that was going to happen, and what was that like? And are you best friends now with them?
No, no, I didn't know that was going to happen. So what actually happened was I was going with my family first, right? A lot in advance, actually.
Mhm.
And when we got to the main door, I saw this doorman, and I really wanted to go inside, and he stopped me. He told me, "No, I'm going to give you a talk." And it was very sweet of him.
Mhm.
And I really thought it was really sweet afterwards, because at the moment I really just wanted to go in and calm down by myself.
Yeah.
So I was already like preparing on my way there mentally, like, this is gonna happen, I'm gonna do this. And then suddenly someone wants to talk, I
About
don't know
life.
what, right before.
Uh-huh.
And you guys were there, so you also saw
Yes.
it. I was panicking.
It was a whole talk about how you don't need to know everything and that sometimes it's okay to not know everything. It was very sweet, but yeah. I can
Which
imagine
I
that.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree with him.
When you're trying to keep control of everything, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe it was not the best moment,
Yeah.
although the message was really good. I think.
Yes.
I was sort of secretly hoping that, like, after the whole thing, you would see him again. He's like, yeah.
No, but he also quickly got less interest in me.
Next person.
After the defense was done, he was already doing the pep talk to the next one.
Yes. Yes. Well, it is a whole organization. The location there's two locations in Amsterdam where you can do your defense. It's really a production almost, where
It's a
they
production. It's really like a wedding. I'm telling you.
yeah, and then 3 or 4 people a day defend, I think, and then you just
Yeah,
have to move out
3
at a
people.
certain point and continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind when it was all over? How did you feel?
The first thing I thought was, this went by so fast. It
Mm.
really was really, really fast. And I had the feeling that I didn't have the time to enjoy, because
Mhm.
it really went by so quickly, and suddenly it was all done. And it's too many emotions on one day, or at least for me, I'm very emotional. Maybe somebody else, would say, yeah, it's okay.
Mhm.
But I think, like, the first things that came, that were occupying my mind all the time was what better answers I could have given.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
this is something that happens also, like, after an exam, right? That you
Mhm.
start thinking, I should have said this, I should have said that, but it doesn't make sense, because at the moment you're answering right away, you have no time to think. So of course you're not going to come up with the same answers after 3 days of reflection on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can imagine that that's difficult. I already have that
Yeah.
with normal conversations, that I think back of it and then I should have said something different.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens, right?
Yes.
I'm still rewinding previous conversations from like 2-3 years ago. It's like, damn it, if only I'd said this.
And it always comes when you're watching TV, relaxing, something
Yeah.
like that.
But I can imagine with such an important moment that's frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least that was my reaction. I was right afterwards just thinking, I should have said this. I knew this, so why didn't I say it?
Yeah.
But anyway, I
But you,
got it.
you answered all the questions fine, and they were also asking really, really things that were more for their interest than for yours. I think sometimes more
Yeah,
their
yeah.
topics
In
than
my case,
yeah.
I think it was not so much focused on the content of the thesis,
No.
but on the follow-ups or more out of the box kind of questions.
Yes, and you can never answer those 100% correct, right? There's no correct answer to that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What did you do with the big diploma that you get in the big red tube?
Well, it's still there here at home, waiting to be framed and hang on a wall. But in my case, I'm also waiting for my partner to defend, which
Hmm.
will happen in a few months.
Mm.
And so I'm not going to frame it until both of us have it.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it's still there.
Is there anything else in this big red tube?
There is.
There
Yes.
is?
So I also didn't know. I mean, everything is about diploma, but you have like an A4 version of it,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
and then you have the big one. So the A4 version, I got the Dutch version, the English version, and the big one, it's in Latin. So
Oh,
it's really, really official and very beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
cool. That is nice to frame. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I want it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
I already wanted it, but now I want it extra.
And what are you planning on doing with the normal A4 ones then?
I think that those are for like when you need to prove that you
Mm.
have
Yeah.
that you have to scan it or something like that. Because the big one, there's no way you can scan that thing.
Send a picture of it framed on your wall.
Yeah, exactly. Invite people to come and see it hanging on the wall.
Mhm.
Yes, I acquired this in 2022. It was a great year. So maybe to follow up after getting the diploma, what was the rest of your day like? And yeah, do you have any practical tips for after you've defended your thesis for people?
Well, I had a really big party. So my recommendation is that you celebrate it. If you don't want to have a party, which is perfectly fine, I think it's really nice to have any kind of celebration that you like. Maybe smaller, maybe just with your parents or with your partner, or with your close friends.
Mm.
Maybe go for a dinner. I don't know, whatever you want, but like some kind of celebration, I think I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
In my case, I had very nice dinner, family and friends, and then a big party,
A very nice
which I
party.
enjoyed.
Yes. It was fun.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Do you have any additional questions, Jaron?
I mean, I guess this one would be very, very specific to Maria and specifically about the party. What was your favorite moment about the party, and why was it Dave saying he liked old people?
Absolutely. So that's also something I don't know if it's common for the rest of the country, but here in the Netherlands, your parents make a video, or they usually make some kind of gift, and it's usually a video
Mhm.
of you, and it's normally a funny video. And this part, I loved it. I was not expecting to love the video so much. I laughed. I was embarrassed because it was a picture basically making fun of things that I have said during the last 5 years. But it was hilarious, I think.
There were some good things in it. Yes.
Out of context, absolutely. So all of them needed the context. But of course, if you have context, it's less funny, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it was nice.
Mm.
Okay. So thank you so much, Dr. Maria Clemente, for talking with us today about your defense and what it was like. What does the future hold for you?
Um, well, actually, I'm kind of happy to say that I have moved to the dark side because I am now I'm now part. I joined the pharmaceutical industry,
Mhm.
Ooh.
so there will be no more academia for me, or at least in the near future. I don't want to say never because then things
Mhm.
happen. But actually now I'm very happy because I'm part of a program from Janssen Vaccines here in the Netherlands that combines science and business. So it's a very different world what I'm experiencing now. That's what I am used to, but that's what I wanted. So I'm very excited about it.
That sounds very cool. Maybe a topic for next episode.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
You're
Well.
following me through my career.
Yes. Yes. Of course. Okay.
No, but thank you so much for inviting me again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun and a very fun topic to talk about. Now let's hope that we
Definitely.
also get there in the next
clawing our
year.
way to it.
Yeah. Well, it was nice to hear some tips also for us, of course.
Yes.
So thank you so much for doing this again. And if anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions, papers that we really need to read, you can reach us via our website, thestrugglingscientist.com, or via our email address, strugglingscientist@hotmail.com. We also have some really fun merch on our website, so definitely check it out. And we have social media. Jaron, which ones are those again?
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and a little bit on Pinterest, but not really. But yeah.
We're trying it out. Okay, thank you all for listening, and see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.